Hi everyone, welcome back to the first episode of AI and You for 2021. I know it's been a while since I've released a video, but I wanted to include some new features and enhancements that we just did here in 2021 in the video. So without further ado, I'm gonna hop right into it. In today's video, we're gonna cover some wireless and wired side enhancements, as well as a really quick trick tip. Basically, some of you guys may not even be aware of the fact that we have an ability to replace APs within the dashboard in case you needed to put them to a different location or RMA and access point. Really easy to do it. So I thought I'd spend just a couple quick seconds kind of showing that feature here within a dashboard. So we'll get started with Wi-Fi first. And the first feature of Wi-Fi that I want to get into is a new ability we have to do called peer-to-peer upgrades. So up until now, whenever we did a firmware upgrade, each AP would go to the cloud and download its firmware. Now with peer-to-peer, we basically elect an access point to go up to the cloud, download its firmware, and distribute it locally on the LAN. It's super easy to configure this. In the access point menu, you simply select the APs you want to upgrade, go up to the top right, select upgrade APs, choose the version of firmware you want to upgrade them to, and then simply just check that checkbox. Faster upgrades using peer-to-peer communication. The system will elect an access point to download that firmware, distribute it on this local LAN. Again, that way that'll alleviate for every AP to go to the internet to download its firmware. So super easy to configure, but a really cool feature. And we will be adding this into the site level configuration where the system automatically would upgrade the firmware based on time of day. And when you change the firmware version in the site level, we will be adding that peer-to-peer configuration option at that site level configuration as well in the future. So the next feature I want to actually demonstrate is in addition to our auto provisioning capability. As you may be aware, auto provisioning is configured in the organization settings under auto provisioning. So in the auto provisioning section, we already have the ability to auto provision APs to sites based on LLDP system name, DNS, suffix information, AP name, and most popular, the AP subnet. But we added in a new feature to do this based off of AP model. So now we can say, I want certain AP model types to automatically get assigned to the site when they check in or when they associate to the cloud. So that's a cool feature. But what I personally think is even more powerful is the ability to assign a device profile based on hardware model when the AP connects to the cloud. So this way, really popular for like outdoor access points. When an outdoor AP were to check in with a cloud, we can automatically assign the outdoor device profile or whatever profile you created so that we can change things like radio power, or SSID, or AP configuration just on outdoor APs. Based on, in this case, we would be able to do it automatically based on AP model. So I'm actually going to demonstrate this with an Ep5. So when the Ep5 checks into the site, we're going to automatically assign that outdoor device profile that I created, and then we're automatically going to assign it to this 1000 demo site. So pretty straightforward. In the access point menu, I have an Ep5 down below that's been unassigned. So take the AP, we'll plug it in, give it PoE and internet access. That AP will connect to the cloud here about 30-45 seconds or so. And then it'll connect to the cloud and get assigned to the site, and we'll have the outdoor device profile assigned to it using that new feature we have. So I'm going to use the process of movie magic to speed this up so you don't have to sit and wait the 45 seconds or so for this AP to populate. So I'll be right back with you when this AP connects. Okay, so I got distracted and actually left the screen for a little bit. It's actually been online now for 2 minutes. You can see the AP is connected. If I go into that access point, we'll see that the outdoor device profile has been assigned. And you can see I have this outdoor SSID that I'm broadcasting from that outdoor device profile. So again, just to show this new feature of being able to do auto site assignment based on AP model and auto device profile assignment based on AP model as well. So the next feature I'll show is an enhancement of adding in configurability of Hotspot 2.0 within the UI. So this is something we've supported in the back end through API for a while, and we've now exposed it in the front end with the UI configurability. So when we set up an SSID, the setup in Hotspot 2.0 SSID, all you need to do is create an 802.1x SSID. You'll need to enable Hotspot 2.0, and you'll see some of the operators that we're working with here. So essentially what you need to do is communicate or contact one of these operators, set up an agreement or a contract with one of these operators to do Hotspot 2.0, provide that radius server information to communicate back to that clearinghouse or this provider, and then you're good to go. Hotspot 2.0 is configured. So pretty straightforward and easy, but we now have the ability to configure Hotspot 2.0 here within the dashboard. If anybody has any additional questions with Hotspot 2.0, how it works, what it does, feel free to reach out to us and we can go through the details with that Hotspot 2.0 functionality with you. So while we're in the SSID configuration, I thought I'd show another new feature, and this applies to, I guess we could set this up as an open SSID. This applies to our guest captive web portal configuration. As many know, we can configure a captive web portal very easily within the dashboard here. But what we've done is we've given the ability for the administrator to change the email that the sponsorship employee that would receive when someone is there to visit them. So we can customize this email directly here through the dashboard. It's a very basic email that we're sending right now. It gets the job done. It's not very flashy, but it certainly does what it needs to do. But you can simply edit that template using HTML if you wanted to make some customizations to that email message that's sent to an employee when a guest is there to visit them. So very easily done here within the dashboard. So that's a new feature that we added. I will give you just a quick tip. In order for you to see this customized email option, you do need to put in the subnet there. If there is no subnet, as you can see, the customized email option does not show up. So just make sure that the email domain is there, and then you'll be able to customize that email. And the last thing I'll show is more of kind of an FYI, something that we're changing within the dashboard at the end of March. We are going to be removing the old reports dashboard in the UI. So this has been replaced and has been replaced for about probably a year, 18 months or so, using network and engagement analytics, which is also available on the left-hand side. Network and engagement analytics is over here. And the old reports engine was good, but it's been replaced, and the new network analytics solution is much more powerful than the old reports engine. So this will be replaced. In addition to that, also location analytics will also be replaced with engagement analytics. So these two features will be removed from the UI at the end of March. So again, just kind of give you FYI about that. I don't think very many of you are using these features because they have been replaced for so long with the new engagement and network analytics. But again, just giving you a heads up just in case you are. So with the wired side, let's talk about some updates that we've enhanced with EX switching and management within the MIST dashboard on the wired side. First and foremost, if we go into the switch templates, and I want to show a new capability we have, a couple new capabilities we have in the port profile configuration. If we scroll down in the port profile configuration, you'll notice this very simple option to enable QoS. There's not a lot of flash here. There's not a lot of explanation within the product, at least in this screen, to kind of explain what this really does. But I did want to show what this actual checkbox or radio button really does in the back end. We're actually enforcing and enabling a bunch of different QoS commands within Junos just by selecting that radio button. So if you're curious on some of the things that we're doing, this is a quick snapshot of what that is. And for those that are into Junos and understand how to program the Juniper switch with CLI, this is the actual CLI commands that are being issued out to the switch. So as you can see, there's a lot of commands that we're adding in with those with that simple radio button enabling QoS. All this documentation is available within the dashboard. If you go to the question mark and click into our feature updates, all that the documentation about QoS and what we're doing is available there. But I did want to at least give you a heads up and FYI that we now can easily configure port level QoS just by enabling that radio button within the dashboard. In addition to that, we are now also enabling you to modify MTU size directly from the dashboard and enable storm control as well for specific port types directly here through the dashboard. Obviously, Juniper and Junos has always been able to configure these through the CLI, but we're continuing to add new features and functionality into the UI that are popular configuration items that customers are enabling without having to configure them through CLI commands within Junos. So this is all now available in the front-end UI. Another really cool feature that we've talked about before in these videos is dynamic port configuration. One of the features that we've added recently is now the ability to dynamically assign a port type based on MAC address. So previously that has only been limited to LLDB system name information and LLDB chassis ID and some radius information as well. We are now adding in the ability to do this based on MAC OUI. So when we see a certain type of MAC OUI connect to the system, or connect to the switch rather, the switch would automatically change that port to a specific port type. Say for example, you have security cameras connecting to your switch. We put in the MAC OUI of the security cameras directly here in the dashboard, and then we can automatically configure that switch port type to security cameras, for example, to make sure they have the right VLAN and configurability. And then of course, when that camera gets unplugged or moved to a different port, that port that it was connected to resets back to default settings and is simply just waiting for another port or another connection to it to maybe put it into a different port type depending on the config. So we now have the ability to configure MAC address OUI within the dashboard for dynamic port configuration. And last but certainly not least, on the wired side, we did add in a new column to the column picker tool for the switches dashboard so that you can quickly determine if the most recent configuration change you applied to that switch was successful or not. Previously, you would have to go into the switch and actually go to Switch Insights to see if that switch was reconfigured and successful or not. Now, all we need to do is go into the switch tab and notice that there's a new column that says provisioning status. Was that successful or not? So make sure in the column picker that you have provisioning status checked. It's option number 13. Make sure that's there. That way you can determine if the most recent change was successful or not without having to go into switch level insights. Just to give an example what a failed one would look like, this is what the failed would look like. So you can clearly see if there was a configuration change that failed or was successful. So that's the latest updates on the wired side. Actually, as a matter of fact, there is something else I'd like to show, and that's actually a port level description option now that we have that you can configure in the port types, so we can change descriptions that are available. As you can see down here below, this is an AP switch port type, and I have a description there that says that this is enabled as a dynamic port. This is an example of a description that I entered. That is all configurable in the switch templates, going into the actual template itself, and then going into the port level config, where we can define which ports are set up for what port types, and we can assign a dynamic port configuration there. And that's all we have for the updates for wired and wireless here for the last month or so since our last video. But I do want to close by showing the replace AP feature, which many of you may not be aware that we have. So again, in the event that one of your access points may need to get RMA'd or need to replace it with another AP to move it to a different location or things like that, we can easily do that here within the dashboard. The only requirement is that you have an AP that is unassigned in your inventory to basically replace an AP that is online or offline with that AP that's in inventory. So in this case, the AP that's in inventory, the MAC address ends in CDC, which is pretty easy to remember. So what I'll do is I'll click on the AP that I want to replace, this AP43, just go up to Utilities and then select Replace, and then we can type in that MAC address. So just to kind of mention what the config looks like for this AP, basically, I changed the host name, obviously the AP43, I've assigned it to the 1000 demo site, and the device profile here is listed as the standard device profile. So when I replace this AP with a new MAC address, and as you can see also the MAC address ends right now on 61E1, when I replace this AP with a new one, again, to search for CDC, that AP that's in inventory will show up. I select that MAC address, click Replace, and then now all the configuration changes and settings that I have assigned for that AP are now been replaced with the new one. So the host name has remained the same, device profile is still set as standard, and now you can see that the MAC address has changed to CDC. So if I go back to the access point menu, we'll see that the AP43 is now listed as the CDC AP, and then the previous one that was originally the AP43 AP is now listed back in my assigned inventory list, and I could obviously remove that AP from inventory if I wanted to, just by clicking Release. So that's it for this week's update video. Hope to get back to you in another month or so with another update video. But as always, if you guys have any questions or need any clarification, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to address those questions. And as always, stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.